Success is a funny animal.
Yeah.
We live in a culture like no other today. It seems from the moment we're born, the moment we come into this world, our culture, society, through television, through movies, through music, through the media, it seems like our world is screaming at us to be successful. It's like get more, gain more, have more, bigger this, bigger that, everything. Bigger bank account, bigger house, have this and then you will truly know what it is to be empowered and to really live life. Look, friends, I'm not against success. I believe in money, wealth, riches, prosperity. But hear my heart, I've kind of learned something in my journey. Money, success, fame, the big house, the nice cars, whatever you have, whether it's a little or you are blessed with a lot, whatever you have, money, success, riches, fame, career, job, whatever, are not evil things out to get you and destroy your life. What a load of rubbish. I believe whatever we have is a blessing and a gift from God. Amen. If you have wealth, it's a blessing and a gift from God. If you woke up today and have a car or a bicycle to ride to church, to drive the church, whatever you have, whether it's a lot or a little, is a blessing and comes from God. But I've learned we are blessed. Why? Not to selfishly keep it to ourselves. We are blessed to bless others. It's as simple. We are blessed to be a conduit of that blessing. It's not about me, myself, and I, gaining it all for just me and my family. No, no, no. That's not the divine function, how God purposed it to work. The problem is this, and I'm speaking from experience now. When you allow the money, the success, the fame, the job, the career, whatever it is, that gets you excited in this world. When you allow it to distort your foundations, and you allow it to take your eyes and your focus off Christ, somewhere at the height of success, making over $15 million a year back then, living the dream of ministry, the dream of success, the dream of career, living it all, gaining the world. Somewhere on this roller coaster ride, I begin to lose my way. And it never happened overnight, no. But over a period of time, I began to lose my foundations. And I began to make the mistake of cutting anchors from my life. Anchors that we all have to keep us grounded in life and to keep our eyes connected and focused on Christ as we walk through this crazy journey called life. The first anchor to go from my life, I made the mistake of cutting away the importance of my daily devotion to God. See, because I'm a busy man now. See, we're traveling here, flying there, doing this, concerts here, radio, television. I tell you what, God, I'm so busy this week. Next week, I promise, Lord, I'll have twice as many devotions with you. And I honestly, sincerely meant that. I love God before my heart. But next week comes and I'm even busier next week. I tell you what, God, I'm just tapped this week. Next month, God, I promise, just you and I will get aside and just make time to be with you, studying your word. Just you and I alone, God. Well, next month comes and we're in the studio now making our new worship album. So forget it for the next 6 months. We're just so busy. Eventually, and can I say again, I honestly never meant it to happen. I just got so busy doing everything I thought I was meant to be doing. But eventually I got to the place where I realized I'm not having any devotions anymore. Actually, I can't remember the last time I had a devotion with God. And in my heart, I began to slowly drift away from God. And a hardening of my heart very gently and slowly began to happen. Another anchor I cut away from my life was the importance of my family. See, the last thing in the world my children needed, like their life depended on it, was some new upgrade to some new toy or game. The last thing my kids needed is more clothes, more shoes, more this, more that. You know what my kids needed more than anything in the world? Is Dad just to be there for them. to be there for them. But see, Daddy's so busy now. Daddy's off saving the world. But I'm losing my own family and my children. The final anchor I cut from my life was the importance of staying connected and serving in a local church. Rubbing shoulders, serving with real people in the real world, and being committed to being grounded and serving in a local church. Friends, when you cut those anchors from your life, I don't care who you are, you are a train wreck about to happen. You are the Titanic about to go down. And eventually, it took its toll on my marriage, my personal life, my thinking, my heart. Eventually, behind closed doors, my marriage began to fall apart. But I'm on stage night after night telling people Jesus is the answer, and He is. But behind closed doors, my own personal life was beginning to just crumble. But shh. Don't tell anybody. Are you crazy? You're the lead singer of one of the biggest Christian bands in the world, one of the biggest ministries in the world. You can't tell anybody that your marriage is falling apart, that your life is falling apart. So we make the dumb mistake of wearing a mask and living a lie. Eventually I couldn't deal with the shame or the hypocrisy or the fakeness. So one day I went to the band and I poured my heart out to them, and I told them the state of my marriage, that my wife was on the brink of leaving me, the state of my cold heart towards God, that I don't even relate to God. I don't even connect with God. God feels like a universe away from me. As I poured my heart out and told them the state of my life, the band was blown away. They just sat there, the looks of shock on their face. They couldn't believe it. Isn't it amazing how our world can be falling apart, but we can hide the truth from those people who are closest to us? Not only hide it, but do a great job of hiding it. A couple of days later, the band came back with tears as we sat in one of the members' homes, and with tears they said, "John, we're so sorry. This is the hardest thing we've ever done. We don't know if we're going to survive this, but we don't care, mate. We love you too much to stick you back up on stage night after night. The show must go on." They said, "John, your kids, your family, your walk with the Lord is worth way more than this band, than this ministry. From this moment, we're going to force you to step down, to resign from the band. From this moment, your career with the Newsboys is over." Friends, when I walked out of that band member's home that day, Nashville, Tennessee, y'all. I walked out of their home and it was as if a switch was thrown in my heart. I instantly became such an angry man. Angry at God like it's His fault, angry at the band like it's their fault, and angry at the wife and the kids like it's their fault, angry at the fans, angry at the world. But most of all, angry at myself, because I knew it was my fault. I'm ashamed to say whatever was left of my marriage quickly dissolved after the abuse, and my wife had no choice, but she left me. She divorced me and my marriage was over, and she took my kids and went back to Australia. Good riddance and goodbye. Take the kids with you because I don't even want them. And don't think you're getting any money? I'm going to make sure you get nothing. I've since learned something about money. You can have a lot of it, and I used to have a lot of it. I really did. But money, it has the ability to grow wings and fly away. Really quick. The kingdom of John James is crashing down around me. My career, my ministry, my livelihood is over. My marriage is over. My world is just falling apart. Crikey, you think then I would have had enough common sense to reach out to somebody, to a local church, a pastor, anyone, and say, "Help!" But I made the dumb mistake of turning to an alcohol bottle. Months later, not only is my ministry, my marriage over, my life is a mess, Months later, I'm an alcoholic. I mean, I am intoxicated 24/7. The moment I woke up till the moment I passed out, whenever, wherever, I don't care. I used alcohol as a vehicle to escape because I didn't want to face the consequences of my actions that have destroyed my life. So I'm going to use alcohol to numb the pain. Because I thought as long as I was drunk, I don't have to feel or face the mess that I've caused. So I'm going to run from it. I'm going to do a good job and drink myself into oblivion. And that's what I did. But eventually the alcohol never numbed me enough, because sometimes it still hurt and I can feel the pain of life. And I don't want to feel anything. I want to forget and be numb. So I went looking for more. I met a guy in Nashville that was a drug dealer. Being an alcoholic's not enough. My life was a mess. That's not enough. Losing everything, that's not enough. This guy's a drug dealer. He introduced me to many different chemicals. Months later, not only am I an alcoholic, but now God only knows I'm spending thousands of dollars. I can't inject this rubbish into my system fast enough. I'm a drug addict. I'm on a high-speed self-destruct mission. Why? Because I hate myself. It all came to a finale, a crescendo, when one day I woke up on the floor of my kitchen in my big mansion in Nashville. I'd passed out on the floor. I don't know how long I was unconscious for. But as I sat on the floor and leant back against the counter behind me, I looked down the front of my shirt and I was covered in my own vomit. And I remember I just sunk low on the floor and I just said, that's it. I'm done. I'm done. I went to the guy that I used to purchase drugs from. That was my main supplier. He just happened to have a gun collection. And I said to him, hey mate, can I borrow one of those handguns? I'll bring it back on Sunday. You know me, I'm always good for it. We're good mates. Okay. So I went home to my big house. And there I sat alone, broken, feeling so lost, feeling so hopeless. As I sat there, I'm high, I'm drunk, the beautiful curved marble coffee table covered in drugs and alcohol, the in-house theatre system just blaring with the music. I'm sitting there, I'm broken, I'm weeping, but I'm sitting there with a loaded gun on my leg, ready to end my life. This is so not fair. This is not fair. It seems like yesterday I was on top of the world, living the dream. I had it all. And now I'm here, ready to end my life. This is not fair. And as I'm sitting there, preparing to take my life, I hear this voice screaming in my head. And it's saying, you are such a loser. You are such a failure. You failed your wife. You failed your children. You failed your ministry, your fans. But most of all, you failed God. He believed in you so much, He gave you the world. And this is how you say thank you to God? By making a mess of everything. Pick up that gun, stick it against your head, and blow your brains out, because that's all you're good for. Nothing. And as I'm sitting there, shaking, weeping, moments away from ending my life, moments away from stepping into eternity, what does that mean for me now? Moments away from standing in front of God. And as I'm there ready to end my life, I hear this voice screaming in my head again. Who is this voice? It's the accuser of the brethren, our enemy, who has only one intention and desire for you or I, for any person. And what's his intention? To rob, to kill, and to destroy. And before I put that gun against my head, this voice said, but wait, John, wait, before you blow your brains out, you have done one thing right in your life. Congratulations, boy. Remember your dad? Remember how he walked out on you and tore your world apart when you were a kid? You remember how you hated that man for so many years. You remember how you used to always say, one day when you have a family, one day when you have a wife, one day when you have children, you will never, ever, ever, ever do to your wife and your kids like your dad did to you, your sisters, your brother and your mum. Well, guess what, John? Congratulations. Because you're just like your dad. A loser. Oh, talk about take a knife and stab me through the heart at the finish line. Picked up the gun, stuck it against my head, closed my eyes. Tears just running down my cheeks. I took in one last deep breath before I pulled that trigger. And with my last breath, I wanted to pray one last desperate prayer before I stood before God. One last desperate prayer, and with all my heart, I hope that God would hear me and that He wouldn't turn His back on me. And with my eyes closed, with a gun against my head, I took in that breath and I could only say 4 words of that prayer. All I could say was, please, God, help me. Instantly, the phone rings and the answering machine kicked straight on, and it never did that. We had it set up so it would ring forever before it went to the answering machine. It was barely half a ring and it clicked straight into the answering machine. So I'm there with the gun against my head, ready to blow my brains out, but of course I'm listening to see who's leaving a message. And it just happened to be my ex-wife calling from the other side of the world in Australia, and she's bawling on the phone, and she's saying, John, I know you're there. John, I know you're in the house. John, I know you can hear my voice. I beg you, John, please, pick up the phone, John. Pick it up. Look, I don't have time to go into that incredible woman, her journey of pain, of brokenness, the journey she had to go to try to find hope, to face a broken tomorrow, to stand again. If you want to hear it, get the CD, listen to the woman's side of the story. And I got so angry at her because she's going on and on and on and on and on and on. And I'm thinking, oh, this woman is so rude. She's filling up all the tape on the answering machine. She's like, oh. And I remember I got so angry, I stood up, I just threw the gun on the couch and I just yelled at the answering machine like she could hear me or something. And I remember I just said, for God's sake, woman, just leave me alone. You're on the other side of the world, Australia. But that doesn't stop you. You can still reach out halfway around the world and nag me. Yeah, I'm glad you can laugh about it now. I remember I picked up the phone and said, what do you want? I don't remember the whole conversation. I was so high. I was so drunk. I was a mess. But I remember she said to me, John, listen to me, I beg you, please don't hang up. Don't come back to Australia for me. Don't come back to Australia for your children, your family. But most of all, more than you and I, more than our kids, would you please come back to Australia? Come back to God. Leave America, leave the house, the cars, leave everything. Hop on a plane, come to the other side of the world. Get as far away from that place as possible. You never need to go back there again. Just, I beg you, find your way back to God. Come home to Australia. I said, never, woman. Forget it. There's nothing for me there. And even if I wanted to go home, it's the busy season. It's almost Christmas. I would never get a ticket now. She said, I've booked you a ticket, it leaves in 2 days. Woman is so sneaky.